Hey, what's up, guys? Chris Aon here, coming to you with a little bit more of a heavy heart than usual. If you haven't heard in the news, there was a gunman that was wielding an assault-type rifle and a handgun. He began to open fire inside of a crowded Florida nightclub early Sunday morning, killing at least 50 people in the worst mass shooting in American history. Now, before I go any further, let me just say that I believe that this is a time and a moment for us to grieve and to weep and to mourn with those who have been affected by this tragedy. Not just as Americans, I'm saying as human beings. We should grieve with those that are grieving. My heart goes out. No agenda, no other they should have done this or shouldn't, no other just grieve with those who are grieving. So my heart goes to them. Now, I feel like I need to address a couple things that I've been seeing over and over on the internet. I know the Washington Post did an article on a pastor in Sacramento who basically said we shouldn't mourn the death of 50 sodomites, referring to a city in the Bible, Sodom, associated with Sodom and Gomorrah, where there was homosexuality. This pastor also said that we should line up all the sodomites and shoot them in the head. There was another pastor that is in Arizona who was saying the exact same things. Now, my heart is grieved because those statements are coming from somebody who, first of all, doesn't know the Bible. More importantly, they don't know the gospel or the New Testament. And third of all, they definitely don't know Jesus. In fact, that language has nothing to do with love. The Bible says that God is love. Not that he does love or he manifests love, that he creates love. He's defined by love. So in other words, every action he does flows out of who he is, which is love. Now I'll come back to that when I finish my thoughts. But I want to come back to this idea because there is a lot of people that think that there's a judgment, that God is somehow beating people up because of sin, because of a lifestyle. And I know there's a lot of people in Christendom, a lot of people in any other faith system that's got this list of right and wrong. And by the way, all of those faith systems stem from the knowledge of good and evil. That's where they all came from. Don't be mad at me, but it's true. The knowledge of good and evil is where all of those faith systems come. That says this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. It doesn't matter if it's Hindu, if it's Buddhist, if it's Muslim, if it's Christian, what I need to do and what I shouldn't do. Now, let me just tell you this. The Bible says that we've all sinned. I don't think there's anybody under the sound of my voice that would think, I haven't sinned, I haven't done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong in my entire life. I've never had one bad thought. Well, your first sin was the fact that you lied to yourself, because you did. Now listen, in fact, Romans says all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And then in James, follow me now because I'm going to tie some things for you. In James it says, if you're guilty of one part of the law, you're guilty of all of the law. So let me tell you something, pastor who looks down your nose, or the Christian who looks down at somebody who is sleeping together or who is shacking up or who has a lifestyle that you don't agree with, or who drinks too much or who's drunk, or who, when you look down your nose, just remember that you're guilty of all of the law. So you're guilty of every single thing in the law. I didn't say that. Please don't get mad at me. Read James chapter 2, verse 10. Be offended at the Bible, not at me. But you're guilty of all of the law. And guess what? You, just like Omar, just like whatever you deem is sinful, need the love of God. And guess what? The good news is it was given to you. Your sin problem was taken care of. And I'll prove it to you. Hebrews 10:12 says, but he, having offered one sacrifice for sins for all time. In other words, Jesus 2015 years ago took care of sins, past, present, and future. You cannot interpret Hebrews chapter 10 verse 12 any other way. I'm telling you right now, the sin has been dealt with. Now, you and I simply get to live life. And as a result, we get to love people. We shouldn't hate people. We get to extend God's love. Why? Because his love has been poured out in your life as demonstrated on the cross. I hope that this gives you the proper response to situations like this. And I'm sorry on behalf of pastors when you have to hear and put up with some of that stuff. That does not represent my Jesus. I'm sorry, it doesn't. But I hope this encouraged you today. God bless you. And would you just love and encourage Orlando?